Amendment fight at Supreme Court and all along those lines. So definitely this is something else going on in the news. And China says U.S. didn't give it any notice before attacking Iran. And CNBC is saying why Iran should not count on allies Russia and China to come to its aid. China urges Iran to consider reasonable concerns of neighbors. And definitely even NDTV is saying why is China silent on Iran? And expert decodes Beijing's hidden play. So they might be still trying to do some stuff in their role as world leaders and everything like that. And Iran's nuclear ambassador alleges that U.S. Israeli airstrikes targeted the Natanz. So definitely there is no sign, according to Reuters, that Iran's nuclear sites were hit. IAEA says, but Iran alleges one was. So IAEA chief is rebuting Iran's claim Natanz nuclear facility was attacked. And Democrats are thrown into disarray as U.S. offensive on Iran creates cracks. So from America First to Always America Last is what the Atlantic is reporting. And Democrats denounce Trump's Iran attack, but subtle divisions are emerging. Senator Mark Warner says he saw no intelligence of imminent threat from Iran. So definitely there's a lot going on. And anger on Pakistan streets, 20 dead after U.S.-Israeli strike kills Khamenei. Pakistan deploys troops and imposes a 3-day curfew after deadly protest over the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. So military has been called to northern Pakistan region after a deadly Iran protest and all along those lines. Going to bring my folks in, or I'll bring in Rick and see what he's got to say about this. We'll see if anybody else joins later on and everything along those lines. I saw something else that was interesting. It was, apparently, if you are in D.C. and you go to the Department of Education, there's a big poster next to Booker.
There's a banner. So there's a banner of 3 historical figures.
Right.
And one of them is Charlie Kirk.
Right.
Charlie Kirk was famously a community college dropout. He lasted 1 semester in community college and then took some online courses at another community college. Never got any kind of.
But the others were very well-known figures. Booker T. Washington, who I know we honor at the Hayti Heritage Center, was one of those, and he was a civil rights leader who got to sit in front of and meet with the president and everything like that. And I think Miss Beecher was another one who was very much involved in women's rights. So there was a lot of people that were wondering how he fits in.
So yeah, this is a banner that's like 40 feet tall by, I don't know, 10 feet wide. And Trump famously, and the Republicans want to dismantle the Department of Education.
Right.
And this is just a fuck you to people. It's craziness, but not, I mean, in a sea of craziness, this is just a couple drops.
It's just a couple of drops, but what is your take on this war? Because apparently,
even Trump is. So Hegseth is saying that this is not about regime change, which is a reasonable thing to say because this is not going to change he said this isn't about regime change, but we sure changed the regime. They claim they blew up 48 leaders of Iran, but like us, they have hundreds of leaders. You know, we have the House and Senate, the cabinet. They have rules of succession and how they're going to elect their Supreme Council will elect their next Ayatollah, and things will. They have ways to make sure that more liberal candidates are not included in the voting.
Well, there's something else interesting too, Rick. Not just about, but this is about the Iran war. This was because I was looking at YouTube and TikTok, a little more YouTube and everything like that, and maybe Facebook. And there was a post that I saw that I did not realize, but apparently, and this is not something I saw in the news, but it was reported recently by some reasonable sources. Netanyahu, and he may be going for a meeting, is in Berlin. So some folks were finding this somewhat ironic that he was heading to Berlin in his version of a Air Force One when there is a conflict in and around his country and everything like that. So had you heard anything about this?
Netanyahu is pretty much Trump, but I want to talk about regime change for another second.
Yeah,
so Iran has the 7th largest military in the world. You're not going to knock over that country by killing a few dozen of its leaders. They have 610,000 regular troops. They have another 350,000 reserves. They have 150,000 Royal Guards, which is their internal kind of police political force. So all together, they have roughly a million troops available, and this without an invasion, which we'd be insane to do. And they're not talking about invasion. They're not ruling it out, but they're saying that this will be a 4-week action. And I guess we've really fucked up their Navy. We sank 9 of their ships. But it's not going to change Iran from being, an Islamic state where the people are ruled by these ayatollahs. Sasha.
Yes. There is a lot to talk about all that, but I'd like to stay on a topic: why Trump did it at all. What's the reason that he did it? Nobody actually discussing that, but I'll tell you what's really happening. Trump knows, and his supporters, that they are losing upcoming midterm election. Losing House 100%, Senate probably 50%, maybe even more. So that's engraved in stone, and nothing will change it unless Trump will take very risky endeavors such as attacking Iran, trying to do some cosmetic changes so he could bring to American, okay, here I am, I'm the winner, I did it. Now, as the result of this, you know that what's going to happen with the prices of gasoline at the pump, you know what's going to happen economically, but he does it now. So all the hell will break out, say, May, June, but by the July and further, it will start to subside, and that could bring him a victory in midterm elections. That's only his plan. Forget about him being friend of Iranian people or Israeli people or any people. He is not friend to anybody. He is friend to himself only. By the way, if it's there are already casualties on the American side, and as the sign of patriotism, why he is not sending any of his children to fight for the United States of America? He's himself 5 times Dodger, so maybe just send his sons, at least one of them. No, it's not.
Here's a crazy thing with that. Both of Biden's very grown-up sons enlisted in time of war. Beau Biden was 34 when he enlisted during the Iraq War, and he was 39 when he was sent to Iraq. And even Hunter Biden, who is a mess, but often had decent intentions, Hunter Biden at age 42 enlisted in the National Guard, lasted about a year and a half before he got kicked out for testing positive for cocaine. So both, these are, in military terms, these are old men. But no, you're not going to see anything like that from the Trump boys.
So Barron won't be sitting there going to war or anything like that.
No, and maybe Barron should, because Barron's like 6'7". He'd probably, he'd be a huge target for snipers. You can't, that guy doesn't fit in a foxhole.
Yeah, he might not be good in a foxhole and everything along those lines, but yeah, this is going on. There's still new developments, and Kim will be glad to hear this if she makes it here today and everything. But apparently, the Jeffrey Epstein had more than just his island. He also had a ranch, and the feds have asked New Mexico to halt the Jeffrey Epstein Zorro Ranch sex trafficking probe. So they were probing his ranch that he had as well in New Mexico and everything like that. But it looks like they are, because the New York Times said it was getting some scrutiny at last, but it may be too late because the feds are getting involved because they don't want that investigation to go on just like they didn't want the investigation of the island to go on. So any take on that? Because if you're going to get away with shit, New Mexico is the place to do it.
big open skies. I mean, we've seen the skies on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and the people not the kind of trusting people. It's one of the has one of the lowest average incomes per capita in the U.S. If you're going to pull some shit among a landscape that a lot of people like, New Mexico is it. You don't want to if you're going to get away with shit, Louisiana is good, but Louisiana has 100% humidity and 90 degrees and kind of crappy infrastructure. New Mexico is a more relaxing place to do your creepy illegal shit.
And New Mexico might be more easy to do and everything like that. Hey, Sasha, we just got Dr. Sharif join us as well. We'll get back to the war in Iran. But just in terms of Anthropic and everything, because I saw that they got blacklisted by the Pentagon and they're having all kinds of problems. Is their stock going to continue to fall, and Anthropic on the way out as a major investment and everything, because they just got blacklisted by the Pentagon, and then Claude hit #1 in the App Store? So is Anthropic on its way out because of some of the problems that they're going through?
I'm not the right person to ask about that because I never really digged into it, know very little about it, don't care about it, and never mind investing into that as well.
Fair enough. Like I said, I know that you do a lot of investing, but NVIDIA is apparently doing all right, and I know that's one of your major investments. What's going on in your neck of the woods, Dr. Sharif, and how are y'all reacting to this conflict in the Middle East? Because y'all aren't that far from it and everything like that. So how are you reacting to these attacks? And I know there's also a war between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So how are y'all doing there in Bangladesh?
Yeah, thank you. If you ask me about the Bangladesh government reaction, so Bangladesh government want peace in this region. That's why this Pakistan and Afghanistan war. Bangladesh government, especially our prime minister and the opposition leaders, Mr. Tariq Rahman and our prime ministers, he requested to go for a like a very peaceful relationship in the South Asia. On the other hand, what's going on in between Israel and Iran also attract in this South Asia, specifically in this Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, like UAE, and other countries, Qatar. This time also Bangladesh government want peaceful relationship. What I'm observing from Bangladesh and from Asia, that it creates a massive amount of destruction. Many people died, including Khomeini. He's very popular Islamic leaders. Secondly, Bangladesh, if you discuss about the interest of Bangladesh, many of our Bangladeshi people, they work in the Middle East. So this attract and these things actually create a problem. I see that more than 100 of flights cancelled in the South Asian region. Two Bangladeshi people died for this war, according to my knowledge. What I understand that it's actually very political and challenging issues. Maybe this is the started of World War III. It will create impact on like economical challenge. Many people already died. Maybe more people will die. And third, in terms of geopolitics, it's actually very bad indicators. Even I don't know. Maybe Sasha, you can explain. But what we see under this app, when the Epstein files open, that time many famous and many powerful politicians, including Donald Trump and all of the big peoples from North America, they come to the Epstein files, even including Bangladeshi politicians and other people name I find in these Epstein files. And it create a huge negative impact. After that, this war, maybe they are trying to overcome from these challenging situations, but war never be solution for global peace. What I see previously, Mr. Trump, he do focus on global peace before Nobel Prize, and now he's leading very important war, including he bring president from South America. He's starting wars, and this may be a very challenging moment, even not only for the South Asia or for Bangladesh or for the Asian economy. It may create very bad political and economical and geo political negative impact in North American economy and around the world. So this is my request to all of the global leaders. Maybe this is high time. You need to stop, and you need to go for your real job, serving for the people, serving for the communities. This is my appeal. But how I see, it's creating very very negative impact. It creating even though religious tension, uh, and even not only in Middle East, I see in India, in Kashmir, in Pakistan, many places people are go for riot and all of the things. It's really really bad situation, a really bad timing, specifically with this economy, energies, political, geopolitical leadership, religious harmony. Now everything is in challenge under the leadership of Trump, and definitely in Iran, and this Israel, this triangle wire and all of the things. It's very bad time.
Yeah.
What's happening now has been described many years ago in a book by Huntington by the name Clash of Civilizations, and where he very explicitly he's showing that the civilizations, because of so many differences among them, it's a religion, it's a language, it's a social structure, it's business structure, it's just almost anything. It's miles apart. You cannot create the fundamental peace between two different civilizations when they are so much apart. So all those talks about coexistence, to being nice to each other, to believe in peace, they are all temporary recipes which will not be able to fulfill the major trace of which is a clash. And in a clash, one civilization wins, another one dies. And so this is what we are witnessing to happen. The only is situation would be different if both civilizations are quite developed and approximately equal in power. For example, if you take US and China, well, 50 years ago, US would overrun China in a matter of week and a half, and would be no contest. Today, that's not going to happen. Today, China is equal. You can tell about U.S. superiority, and it has $1 billion, $1 trillion budget, and all this stuff. Doesn't matter. No one can defeat another one without huge losses that would undermine victory. Anyway, so what's happened right now? For example, Trump is earning for a state visit to China in April. So Emperor Xi tells him, my friend, you do not sell arms to Taiwan. There is a deal approved by Congress, ready to go for $13 billion. No, 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 no. You're not going to do that. Otherwise, there will be no state visit. Go to hell. Oh, so Trump cancels that sales to Taiwan, which was already approved by Congress, by House, by everybody. Okay. Another thing is there is no coalition that supports US, as it was in previous wars. There were a European Union, US, NATO, whoever, just everybody. We went alone. Even Ukraine actually. We had food on the ground when the US invaded Iraq, and then in Afghanistan, Ukrainian was there to help US. However, this time, no one, even refusing, gives them the basis to refill their flights or so on. Now, France sent its carrier Charles de Gaulle and indicated that it would help US. So at the same time, they were talking to leaders of Iran, and they said, look, as long as you leave alone our bases, they have some military bases around Amman and some Abu Dhabi maybe, we are not going to send anything to your region. And what's happened, guess? They agreed, and France said to US, my friends, we are not going to help you in any way with your actions.
So you have three worlds in the world. You have the Western world, you have the Asian world, and you have the Islamic world. But and yeah, they have irreconcilable differences. But you also have the AI world that is coming up. I looked up what's happening with AI in Iran. And Iran wants to be a top 10 AI nation, whatever that means, by 2032. And Iran is using a ton of AI, but instead of using it for nonsense like we use it here in the US, they use it for state repression, surveillance, and internal control. To knit together 15,000 public cameras to watch protesters and to see whether people were wearing the hijab. They've got cybersecurity and influence operations, including disinformation, cyber attacks, coordinating weapon systems. So AI will come up through in all nations of the world and will increasingly be as important in its functioning as national governments.
Hey, Rick, along those same lines, there's this notion of the U.S. Being an empire, and all empires have a 100% failure rate and everything like that. So, is the U.S. on its way out as an empire? Because I was actually getting my.
We don't know because we've faced threats before. In the 1860s, we had the Civil War, which almost tore the nation in two. Then we had World War II, and we've had the civil rights struggles of the 60s, which continue till today. And now we have the mass propagandizing of America, which has made maybe a quarter of US adults kind of crazy and believers in bullshit. And we seem to have no leverage to stop the flow of bullshit that makes people crazy. Is that enough to destroy America? We don't know yet.
Dr. Sharif earlier mentioned this idea, and you kind of alluded to it, Sasha, and everything. But what is our thoughts around this notion of there being a World War III? Because I've even heard newscasters talking about this notion with what's going on in Ukraine, with what's going on in Iran. There's conflicts in Africa and a number of other places as well. So I know that the clock has been moved up. How close are we to a World War III?
You are asking me, Mark?
Anybody?
Yeah, just one thing I want to share, like what we are observing, this is clear, we are under the World War III because this long time there is a war in between Ukraine and Russia. And definitely it's creating very, very negative impact in around the world. Secondly, we are observing some small war and some other things. But before this Nobel Prize, US has some intentions to work as a advocate for this global peace. But right now, what we are observing in this Iran, it's very harmful, definitely very, very harmful, and it's creating very negative impact in South Asia, in Asia, and in Middle East. And I believe that what's going on this Russia and Ukraine war, what's going on this Iran and Israel war, and definitely it's supported by USA. This is the worst scenario of the global after the Second World War. Worst situation right now. Many of my friends, I have a lot of friends in the Middle East. Even some of my friends, they live in Middle East, but they are from USA. All of the people have in trouble. They are stuck in the rooms. They cannot move abroad. They are afraid. What's going on? Maybe nobody knows. This may be last day for them. This is I don't know, worst scenario happening right now. USA people, they should, what Jatovi always said or Sasha said, they should proactive to stop this kind of war. Definitely, USA people. I know there are a lot of civil society. There are a lot of good group of people. Though they want global peace. Definitely, they should stop U.S. government and their ally to stop this war. It may cause more harm, even for USA, for US
So
people.
to have a world war, you need blocks, you need sets of alliances crashing into each other. And right now, the U.S. is. I mean, so there's some European nations like France are saying, yeah, well, we'll go along with your stuff for a while, but we don't see big blocks lining up with the U.S. We don't. I don't see this turning into a
Look,
world
look,
war.
look,
So
Rick, if you want to create a block, this kind of things, you need a great leaders, right? Even though if you want to create a very strong block with European Union, you like the Trump administration's role in between Russia and Ukraine. It's very confusing, right? They are actually supporting Russia right now. So when they are supporting Russia, definitely European Union not feel comfort with them. Even the few days ago, what we see about this Iceland and all of the things, even this last World Economic Forum meetings, we observing even France do not like this initiative. European Union leader they do not like this initiative. Then they start these things in. Uh, I don't know how come a leader make enemy each and every corner of this world.
Yeah, we don't Trump. We don't have a great leader.
so
Trump.
They make enemy to this Ukraine. They make enemy even in Middle East, the
and
Asia. How
Oh,
come a nation has all of
Trump.
the enemy
All right.
around the world?
So
so
Just,
what
just
hold on.
see
Hold
this
on.
China
Trump.
model. Just see this China model. China, I say that China, yes, they have very strong military right now, but they do not go for war. War is something USA like most, but they are actually losing their economic empowerment. They're losing their reputation. Perhaps they're utilizing their war, this war for the personal benefit, not for the
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody kind of suspects that Trump, never a great thinker, even when he was young,
but US people, US
is a
people.
hundred days away from
US
being
people
80
elect.
years
How
old.
come US people elect this kind of
that
irrelevant politician?
that
US
right there,
people
what you're
elect.
saying,
Hold on a
Dr.
second. Let's hear
Sharif.
from Joey.
Well, that's what you're saying right there, Dr. Sharif, is why we are isolated right now. Is because yes, the world sees that we elected this president. The world
Sure.
sees that the people
Even US
elected.
people, US
Yep.
people. I discuss in Dubai. I discuss in Qatar. They are my very good friend from USA. Their life right now in threat. They
Yep.
said, "Hey, anytime I may die."
And Rick, when you're talking about blocks and this and that and the other thing, what we're not seeing is that the blocks are there, and the problem is us. And that's where, when, as Dr. Sharif is pointing out, and even Sasha's pointed it out at times, how and we try our best to empathize and say we apologize for our government. But right now, our government is the one that's bombing in the name of the U.S. Our government has associated itself with Netanyahu and taken, and honestly, now it's Israel and the U.S. bombing these areas, which has isolated us on the outside compared to the European Union. China has already filled a vacuum of us pulling out in USAID, in actually funding other things across the globe economically, in education wise. China has come in and filled that void. We used to accept so many people in terms of come to our big colleges. We're not gonna come at you and force you. No, China's taking that role now. So that's pulling all the best and brightest away from where we're going. People don't come to the U.S. right now. Where our tourism right now is down. Canada used to be one of our biggest tourist partners. They're not coming to the U.S. Canada used to be one of our biggest trading partners. They're trading with China now. So what's happened is the blocks are there, but we as Americans don't want to see us in that bad block. And that's where we are.
But also, like China's not a nice country, but they are a stabilizing force because they can afford to be patient. They can, with their infrastructure, with their population, with their
Right.
industrialization, they can afford to sit back and watch the U.S. spin out of control.
But
And-
check this out. Here's an old saying. We all know it. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Mhm.
So right now, China can be an evil country. Yeah, sure. We can say it's a communist nation and so on and so forth. But right now, the U.S. has made enemies, as Dr. Sharif has pointed out, as Sasha's pointed out, as our international individuals have pointed out. The U.S. has made
Even
enemies.
Israeli friend, I have many good friends from Israel. They are also frustrated with with this war. Very, very frustrated, and their life in trouble. I communicated with at least 100 of my friends. Their life in trouble. So the politicians' responsibility to take care of the people, right? This is the very basic norms. You cannot put all of your peoples in danger. You
and
never.
I don't know. Over here, it didn't make that much news, or it could have. But and Mark, I don't even know if you brought it up. But I'm curious over where you are, Dr. Sharif, if it made news. But I saw somewhere where Pakistan or the people of Pakistan were protesting outside of the U.S. embassy in Pakistan, and they were actually, breaking windows and everything else because they're so pissed off at what's going on that's putting their lives in danger.
Yeah, I did bring up the fact that
Iran, in its
That's what the other thing.
response to the U.S. attack, attacked 8 other countries, and it even tried to fire missiles over the Mediterranean into Europe, but they fell into the sea. But
Guess what those 8 other countries have? U.S. bases.
Yeah.
Every single one that they fired at has U.S. bases. You know that Iran doesn't have the highest capabilities in terms of targeting systems and so on and so forth. But every single one of those countries that they fired at has U.S. bases in them.
So Trump, knowing that, he betrayed American soldiers who are in these bases around Iran in 8 countries. So he put them at harm's way because obviously they could be defenseless against Iranian missiles. So how did he didn't calculate that? What he said, well, we lost some people. That's the way it is. It's a war. We lose even more people. It's the way it is.
he's not an empathetic guy.
No, he is not.
He's got empathy for himself, but not
Yeah.
other people.
He's got empathy for himself and everything like that. Cam, I'm glad you joined us because one of the other things he said, which I found laughable and everything like that, is he said that he is pro-immigration and everything like that. So he just recently said that earlier today and everything like that. And he's saying that it has to be legally done immigration and everything like that. But he did say that he is pro-immigration. I'm going
well, if it has to be legally done, why is he attacking the people who are at the courthouses processing their legal paperwork that have been in the process for years? And maybe he believes in it going out, not in, like, immigrate out. But the problem I have is that he was supposed to deport, but instead they're detaining. It's costing us $120,000 per detainee in every center. So now you've got millions, if not billions of dollars being used, but they're not detaining criminals. They're detaining immigrants with illegal status. And that's not a felony, but you know what? A pedophile is. Pedophiles are felonies. And they're not arresting accused pedophiles because they're wealthy, which if they had accused any abuse, they would have. So, but the immigration status, they should have been deporting the worst of the worst. They didn't. They detained hard workers, and it's come to my attention, whether it's true or not, I'm trying to validate, that the detained are being detained in private detainment centers, which the money, our tax dollars, are going to whoever owns those detainment centers, that they're not using the money accordingly to take good care of these people, but they're turning them into work slaves for the people
Kim,
there.
not just a detaining. Kim, not just a detaining center, but I just learned this earlier today, and I'm trying to get it confirmed, like you are, and everything like that. But there is a network of detention centers, and this is the scary thing because it kind of comes back to is Trump going from the playbook of the Nazis and everything? Because
Oops.
Oh,
Wow, don't use that word on any Google network. Bam!
exactly.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I thought we were safe from that. I really did, because we don't have to abide by a lot of the rules because of the way we engineered our systems. Wow. Have I learned? Phew. Boy, that hook just came fast, didn't it? I didn't do it. I'm all for calling a Nazi a Nazi. I'm all for calling a pedophile a pedophile. But
So
yeah, no,
here's a
it's
story
bad.
that says that if we continue on our current bombing schedule, we will run short of missiles. A U.S. CENTCOM says that more than 1,000 targets in Iran have already been wiped out. But if we continue firing missiles at the rate we've been doing, we could run short in a few weeks.
Well, I'm a little concerned about their targets because they blew up an elementary school, which is illegal.
Yeah, they killed more than 100 girls.
150 to be precise right now for the body count. It was 150 yesterday when everyone was doubting my word, when not you guys, but they're like, well, you don't know, you don't. Yeah, well, my resources are a little bit better than some people, but the CNN News Network was not reporting it. So nobody believes anything until CNN says it, I guess. But the CNN and other networks, they have to clear their stories before they report them. They just can't go out and report stories. They have to get some sort of approval. And Rick, you know this.
Well,
and then it takes time. But I'm sure their approval had to go to Trump. Like, can we report that you blew up a school? But the biggest story that hasn't been and will not be told is the American journalist who was executed by Israeli government last Wednesday.
Well, Israel's killed, as of a year ago, they killed 220 journalists. So I'm sure it's up to about maybe 250 now. Israel is pretty sloppy about, journalists. They kill a lot of them. And
I don't know why anyone would go there to be a journalist, to be honest with you. I mean,
but that's where the news is, and you just hope you're lucky.
Yeah. So, I mean, what bothers me, though, is the technology that I know we have in this country for the government that can pinpoint strikes right down to the flea on the hair strand of Trump's wig, and we blow up a school with 150 girls, and it was a girls' school, okay, and so I kind of go along with this girl. In fact, I was saying it before she was. He can't rape him, so now he kills him. But and that's rude. I know it is, but you know what? The truth is the truth. But they blew up a school, and you cannot tell me it was not intentional, because our equipment, our weapons are too precise for that. They're just too precise for ignorant blowing up. So I'm going to blame our military for that one, because they should have known better. Not even Trump, unless Trump ordered it. But did he really kill anyone of any significant power?
Yeah, he took out like dozens of the top leadership, but that still leaves hundreds.
He didn't kill the president. And that leaves hundreds, Rick. That leaves thousands of worse people.
So I mean, what makes this whole the problem is that they were so excited. I hate to use that word. The Trump administration was so excited to point out that they had taken out the Ayatollah. However, he was more so a figurehead, and there are multiple layers up under that government.
The guy was 86 years old. He'd been
he was a figurehead. He wasn't actually running Iran in the way. He was a figurehead speaking. He's a spokesman. Hate to put it lightly that way, but again, So, and then on top of that, they just said that they had an idea of a successor, and they announced that they accidentally killed the successor or unalived the successor. So it's just a cluster right now. And Sasha has pointed this out multiple times, and I don't know why people didn't listen, is that you can blow up from the air all you want to. It's not gonna do much of anything. It's not gonna change anything, but cause more people, one, to go to, coalesce around them. But on top of that, the government's still gonna rebuild.
Yeah, it's kind of like just because they killed Epstein doesn't mean you stop the industry from continuing.
So the U.S. has about 1.3 million active duty military. Iran has 600,000 active duty and another 350,000 reserves. So if they called up all their people, which they might because they're at war, they'd have about 3/4 as many troops as the U.S. does. If it comes to, nobody wants to put boots on the ground. I don't think even the Trump people and Hegseth are dumb enough.
Said that today, that they may put boots on the ground.
Well, that's bad because Venezuela, okay, Afghanistan. There are 60,000 Taliban in Afghanistan, and they're not a very organized force. It was easy for us to knock them down, but Iran has 10 times that many troops. You can't just knock them down, expect the country to fall apart.
You pointed out Afghanistan. Afghanistan is still a quagmire that we were stuck there for 11 plus years or decades. Plus,
we spent $2.3 trillion on Afghanistan.
So, I mean, pointing out if Afghanistan doesn't have the military or the might or whatever that we're talking about that could push back, and Iran has at least some might that can, we're going to be stuck there longer. I mean, it's just a quagmire. We should never have gone. And don't get me wrong, nobody sheds a tear for the Ayatollah. Everybody wants the human rights, but to utilize that as a shield to justify going to war when there was no imminent threat, it's not what we should be doing.
The last time we took on a military of this size was World War II. None of the countries that we have messed with or have messed with us in the past 80 years have been the size of Iran.
There is something else. At first, they were talking about a fight for freedom of Iranians from this horrible regime. Now they changed the tunes. It's all about regime change. So they killed Ayatollah and many other top-level commanders. So what would indicate regime change in next week, months, a year, 5 years? Time. What exactly has to happen for US say, yes, we accomplished, the regime has changed, we got our goal, now we are going home? What exactly it is? What are the parameters? Who is the decision maker when regime has been changed and when it's not? Anybody knows?
Exactly. You're spot on, Sasha.
Well, and again, we didn't take out the president. We didn't take out the main guy. We just took out supreme leaders. I mean, that's not a big deal in my book. I mean,
think about what I think Sasha's point is even deeper than that. Say we did take them all out, the whole government, everything. What does that do? That leaves a whole nation with no governance, no nothing. A ton of people who have just been murdered, and who takes control? Who's going to be in the position to say who does this and who does that? What government are you leaving intact? What rules of the role are you leaving intact? You're not leaving anything. So as Sasha said, who's going to make who's the decision maker if we take out everybody? What's the end game?
It's something else. That U.S. military bases around Iran are exposed. Some people already are being killed. But that's not all. Iran can do terrorist acts in Europe against U.S. embassy or U.S. targets, U.S. companies, U.S. individuals. So there's U.S. is being exposed. If not continental U.S., but its interests around the globe are exposed, and the longer that will continue, the more harm Iran could inflict on American interests and killing people.
Well, the
Hey,
other thing we
Sasha,
didn't
something.
the
Sorry,
other thing we
Sasha.
did
The other
not
thing that.
is the sleeper cells all over this country,
Yeah.
and the result of them. I mean, if it were my child that was in that school, believe me, I would do anything necessary to avenge that death. That was wrong. That was as wrong as you get. That was worse than a mistake. And every military person involved in that should be held accountable. But what they're going to do is they're not going to hold the president accountable. They're not going to hold the people who pulled that trigger accountable. They're going to hold what's easy for them to get to, the low hanging fruit. And that's every American in this country accountable. That's my concern.
Yeah, but
I kind of misspoke
Sasha,
I said we
there's
have,
something I've never. Hold on a
I
second,
had said
Sasha.
we
There's something I've
haven't
never
taken
understood.
on an enemy as big as this since World War II. The Korean War, North Korea only had about 250,000 troops in the war, but they were backed up by China. The U.S. sent 1.8 million troops to Korea for a war that, well, they still haven't signed. That war continues. That they never signed the papers to end that war. It was a stalemate. It was a huge. So I mean, this could be another swamp.
It could be. It sounds like another swamp. But Sasha, there's something that I've never understood in both Ukraine and in definitely this war as well. And maybe you can explain it to me. I did not serve in the military, so maybe it makes sense to those folks that do it and everything. But why oftentimes do we wind up targeting school children? I know that there was hundreds of school children that were killed in Ukraine and everything like that. There were 165, I think, we killed in an Iranian girls' school of all things and everything like that. So I'm still trying to figure out.
A girls' school. Why?
No, because if you read up on it, it's right next to a military base. So either we hit the base in air. Some people are saying that Iran, something mislaunched and one of their own missiles went next door and blew up the school. Obviously, we're not going to intentionally blow up a girls' school.
I think we are. I think.
But anyway, they had a big base across the street.
We have technology that can pinpoint a strike. Pinpoint. I've worked with some of those abilities a few years back when they were working on drones and autonomous flying drones and the ability to do that. Their biggest problem was payload at the time, and they couldn't keep a drone up longer than 5 minutes. They had to carry all the equipment. So, but we've been seeing videos of people taking videos out from their windows there in Iran of all the drones that are popping up all over the cities there. So, and they're trying to evacuate as many people as possible, which is, concerning. Where did Mark go again? He's got to quit using that Nazi word. He's got to quit using Nazi. Mark, come back. But I agree that there's a concern, but I think our biggest concern should be the consequences, the ripple effect, because they're gonna strike back with every and then our people are gonna go, oh, they're terrorists. No, we were the initial terrorist in this one. Okay,
well, the U.S. generals have said that we struck 1,000 targets. So out of 1,000, it's not inconceivable. It's possible that in error we could have struck tragically a girls' school and killed 150 girls. Now, should the war planners leave out targets that are close to schools and stuff? Yeah, probably. But
so
I'm sorry,
if there was a military command under the school, that's a problem that Israel faced in Gaza when they had all kind of schools or some other institutions where underground there was a military command of the what's it called, Hamas or something, right? So this is not unique situation. Also, while they're flying ideas that probably Iran in itself bombed the school, which nobody denies, nobody supports that allegation. So this is so-called a fog of war. That something happens, and it's very difficult to pinpoint exactly who did what and when, right? So this is a consequence of war, at least at this point, unless more information would be available. In the meantime, U.S. asked to have the pause and discuss the peace proposals with Iran. Iran flatly refused, and that put a great onus on Trump what to do next, to continue to do the bombing, bomb the same targets that they already bombed, do it second, third times, or so on, or to inflict complete bombardment of all Iranian cities, everything, including schools and supermarkets and buildings and just anything. Well, go and figure that out.
Hey, Sasha, do you think we'll see the return of one of two leaders? Because I've heard that there is relatives of the Shah that would like to come back, and of course that was the leader way back when. But I've also heard that there are relatives of not Khomeini but Khomeini who wanted to come back as well, and he was the supreme leader before the latest one that was assassinated.
That's not happening. The form of government is not going to change unless we
But
engage in a
Khomeini could come back. Khomeini could come back, not Khomeini.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, sure. But the Islamic government of Iran is going to stay in place unless we get into some horrible multi-year war with them. And Iran has been in horrible multi-year wars during the Saddam Hussein era, the 80s and the 90s, the 70s. They were constantly at war with Iraq. So they are used to fighting.
I mean, we're talking Iran is basically Persia, so they've been at war forever. So they've been.
Well, I heard, I was listening to a little bit of I caught the tail end of it, but I was listening to some of the interview today that was with one of the Iranian government officials, and they spoke about, we're here to the end. We're not gonna negotiate anymore based on what they did. There was actually an official that was in. Was it Qatar that was the mediator between the two? Oman. Didn't they say that the Oman? I think the Oman official said that this was not the U.S.'s war. That there was a deal on the table, but then they went to war. The U.S. went to war. So they basically nixed the whole potential deal that could have been there, and that was all on Trump. So this was, again, isolating us and compared to everything else, because that ticked off Oman because now they're in the middle. And then just recently, Kuwait just shot down 3 U.S. Planes by accident because supposedly they were trying to shoot down the Iranian planes, but they accidentally shot down the U.S. planes. So 3 U.S. planes.
The problem in all that is that Trump does not ask permission from the Congress, from Senate. He goes into the war, whether it's Venezuela, Iran, and hopefully soon maybe some other countries, or hopefully not. So this is the biggest problem, that he acts as the supreme leader. He is worse than Ayatollah in Iran, because even Ayatollah, he could not command and do the wars without consulting his top people. Trump does not do it. He said, I don't need anybody's permission to wage a war. It's the way I feel it. It's my intuition tells me go to war or not going to war, or so on. With the government like this, it's worse than the Tsar. It's something absolutely incredible. And American people made huge mistake in 2024 to elect this individual. And now it's a payback time, and now all prices will go up as a result of this. And just get ready for midterm election, which still could be overturned and overrun by Trump machine, whether it's ICE or something.
So I can tell you what the
Just one more thing I would like to make, that so Trump is accusing Ayatollah or Iran for killing their own people. What's happening in Minnesota? Don't
Thank you.
government armies spill the
No,
blood of their own people?
So this is what MAGA says, that the ratio is big difference. I'm like, I don't care. You kill one, you kill 100. You're killing your own people. You're executing your own people. And I agree with you, Sasha. Don't call the kettle black in this situation.
Let me tell you what the betting markets are saying.
But it's not about that. It was about oil.
Before we go, let me tell you about the
It's
betting
about oil.
markets. So the betting market, poly market, where you can bet on various outcomes, will the Iranian regime fall by the end of the month? 22% chance, according to people who bet on this stuff. Will it fall by June 30th? 42% chance. Will it ever fall? Will the Iranian regime survive U.S. military strikes? 60% chance that it stays in place. So even on the betting markets, people are saying that we have not a great chance of knocking down the regime.
Right. Okay. So I don't think you're ever going to knock them down unless you totally blow up the whole country. You're not going to eliminate all of the people that you want to eliminate to take control of the country. All you're going to do is make sleeper cells. That's it. You're going to make more and more deeper sleeper cells, and people are going to go along with your leadership until they can play ninja on you or the Trojan horse and lure you in. And
I have one more question for everybody. Would it have helped? Would our chances have been better if we did what we did 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, when they were having riots and killing tens of thousands of their own people?
Well,
They're not an imminent threat.
It would be better,
To
but
us. They're not a threat to us.
logistics was not ready at the time. The Armada was not there yet, or so on. But there is something important here: is that whenever you excite Iranian people to change regime from inside, the problem is now that they killed the Ayatollah. They don't have any target that, okay, you have to get rid of this horrible regime, Ayatollah and all this stuff. There is no more Ayatollah. So what are you trying to tell Iranians? To fight among themselves, to have a civil war, this people against that people, or so? What now are you talking about? There is no uprising from what we know happening, and it's very tragic for U.S.
There was no imminent danger to the United States. There was no imminent danger to other countries. This has nothing to do with all of that. Go do your homework. It has to do with the oil. We have to end the show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Sasha. Happy birthday, Jatovi. Hope it was a wonderful birthday. Mark, thank you. Rick Rosner is gone, but thank you for coming. And Sharif, thank you for your input as well from around the world. Everyone, please stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our upcoming show is the media show. We look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Thank you.